Welcome to We Don't Have Cookies, where possibilities are possible. Here's your host, Jason Marshall.
Hey everybody, thanks for downloading the show. Since it's the holiday season, I'm doing something different for the next few shows. I'm taking a page from the old Charles Dickens book, A Christmas Carol. That's the story where Ebenezer Scrooge gets visited by three ghosts, the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. Then on Christmas, he changes his ways. I'm going to do the same thing, but with guests instead of ghosts. I will be doing shows with guests of the past who haven't been on in a while, another episode with guests from the present who contribute to the podcast, and another show with some people who are going to be joining the show in 2018, all leading up to the Christmas episode, and that starts today. This episode, I will be talking to 4 different people, 2 who haven't been on in over a year, 1 who taught me everything I know to start the podcast, and another who was kicked off the show. Joining me right off the bat is a person who was the very first person anybody had ever heard on the podcast. They heard her before they even heard me. She did the show intro, segment intros, was on 2 episodes, and another one that never got released. It's my friend Brittany. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Things are going well. So basically, I got this whole thing started for you.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
That's why you're here today.
Yeah, things are good. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I can't complain.
I just found today the show that we never released. And wow.
What a wonderful show that was. I just remember we were going through it. You were like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. And I was like, it's cool. I think we just bullshitted for like the whole time. We had fun though.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I forget what we talked about. I think it was like news stories or weird stuff that happened in the world or something like that.
The biggest part that I got out of when I re-listened to it was me going to Walgreens and I saw this mixture of thickening powder for people who had problems swallowing. And we were trying to figure...
Oh my God, that's right.
We were trying to
solve that mystery.
Yeah, because that's very odd.
Yes, that
Why
is.
do you need to make something thicker to swallow it?
I still don't understand. I have a lot of questions.
The last time you were on the show was almost 2 years ago to the day this episode comes out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's something.
Wild.
It was an episode called Jason Ruins Christmas.
That's great. It does not seem like it's been that long.
I kind of felt bad about that episode too.
Why?
Because the entire episode, all we did was talk about how Father Time flipped out on me. And for those who don't know, Father Time is a local comedian who has been on the show a couple of times. He was supposed to be on again, but wouldn't stop messaging me. This is after he called every person in the phone book with my last name until he called my dad and asked him to have me call him back. So I canceled his next appearance. Then in the following 12 hours, he called me over 20 times and sent me at least 10 emails. It was one of the most unreal things I have ever experienced, and I felt like I had to talk about it on the show. And ever since then, he has not been allowed on the show, and my wife will not let him come in the house.
I don't blame her. I don't think he should be allowed in the house.
But I have reached out to him, and I sent him an email just the other day to see if he wanted to be a guest on the show. Over Skype.
Did he respond with a Facebook status?
No.
Isn't he the one that did that?
Yeah.
Oh,
he would he would post on your wall on Facebook that he sent you an email.
I love that guy.
He was a big topic of conversation on the show.
Yeah, he was.
Especially the first year. Mm-hmm. And Jesus, we're still talking about the guy.
Does he listen to those? Has he said anything about those to you?
No, but he sent me a message or two here and there saying Happy 4th of July.
Aww.
And things like
He's
that.
like, this feels like an appropriate holiday to reach out. 4th of July.
It's a time of forgiveness and trying to make amends.
Knows it's a special day.
Well, before you go, I want to do a this or that scenario for my friends over at the This or That podcast. You can find them on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and other places. I'll have a link to them in the show notes. The scenario is, would you rather be a contestant on The Bachelor or Survivor?
I feel like they're very similar.
Yeah.
Probably Survivor. I feel like The Bachelor It's just too much of a shit show for me. I'd rather be out fighting for my life than to be around that many girls at one time.
You know, I have my DVR paused right now, but as soon as I hit on pause, Survivor's on.
I thought you were going to say The Bachelor's on.
Nope.
I've been like, well, see you later.
I would like to do Survivor, but between the two, I would go on The Bachelorette, obviously.
Yeah. You sure?
You never know.
Why The Bachelor, though? Bachelorette.
It would be easier because either way, your chances of making it to the end and getting what you want probably isn't going to happen. So you might as well be in a mansion with a lot of nice food and a hot tub. And, yeah. So why not take the easy way out?
At least you can drink and eat when you're going down.
Well, the reason I wanted you here is I wanted to thank you for being there for me when I first started the show up. And thanks for being on the episode. I miss talking to you. And hopefully I'll have you on again someday.
Yeah.
And we'll see about that, though.
Well, we'll record another episode that never gets aired.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hope this comes out.
I'm going to play a song by the Arrogant Worms, and when I come back, I'll be joined by the owner of the School of Podcasting and one of the members of my Media Host Lipson's team, Dave Jackson.
I am USC Hall of Famer Dan the Beast Severn, and you're listening to We Don't Have Cookies. You had better listen, otherwise I know where you live.
When I walk in the room, people they do bow, for I am the guy with computer know-how. Computer know-how. I know what to do when you are staring at a screen that says fatal error 642. You don't know what it means. You bang the keyboard, throw the mouse, and scream like a banshee. Your tiny brain has failed, so now you must call me. When I walk in the room, people they do bow, for I am the guy with computer know-how. Computer know-how. When I was young, the kids would call me Four Eyes and a geek. Beat me up, steal my lunch, and give me bad wedgies. But the prophecies come true, the geek inherited the earth. I'll charge you through the nose and treat you like dirt. When he walks in the room, I walk. People, they do bow down, for he is the guy with computer know-how. Computer know-how.
Please help me get onto the information highway. I seem to be stuck here in my virtual driveway. No, help me first. I am in great despair. The only program I have learned to use is solitaire. We need your help, we bow and scrape to you, we do submit. I shall help, but first you must proclaim your idiots. We're idiots. Louder. We're idiots. Louder. We're idiots. Yes, you are. Now, who has money to spend? The guy with computer know-how. For whom is setting the time on kitchen appliances mere child's play? The guy with computer know-how. Who can transfer data successfully from his personal organizer to his desktop computer? Technically, that would be you. Who are women no longer ashamed to be seen with? Some things never change. I'm the guy, yes, I'm the guy who possesses computer know-how. When he walks in the room, people they do bow, for he is the guy with computer know-how. Hey!
Joining me now is a man who taught me how to podcast. Without him, I probably wouldn't be doing this today. From the School of Podcasting, it's Dave Jackson. How you doing, Dave?
Oh, glad to be here, buddy. This will be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And you're from Ohio, just like me, right?
Yeah, I'm actually in Akron. We're outside. It is snowing a lot. So
I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Real quick, I need to ask you something. I've been having this debate with my dad. I like having leaves in the yard. I got a pretty big yard. It would be kind of unreasonable to rake it in the first place, but I think it looks nice like that. My dad is a big time, you have to rake the leaves up guy. What's your opinion on that?
That's a great question. I would have to ask Uncle Google and find out if there's any kind of weird acidity to leaves that would then hinder grass growing in the summer.
One of my bigger trees, it always sheds all of these leaves everywhere. And every year in the spring, I go to mow the grass and there's a huge dead spot right there.
Yeah. So that would be the only thing I could think of is if there's anything detrimental to leaving the leaves there for the grass.
Okay.
But otherwise, I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of everybody rakes leaves. I guess there's a reason. That's a great question. Why does everybody rake their leaves? But, besides the fact when I was little, you could then jump in them, but I'm not really sure.
That was a lot of fun. I do have to agree with you there. As a kid, You want the leaves raked just so you have something to jump in. Well, there was a video going around. It went viral. It was a guy going down an escalator in a sled. That was in my hometown of Dayton, Ohio. There was a security guard that threatened to call the police if he did it. The kid does it anyway, and he takes off running. It turns out the security guard in the video wasn't a real security guard. It was a guy that the kid knew. I just wanted to ask you, why do you think so many people are doing so many stupid things to post on social media and on YouTube?
They didn't get enough hugs growing up, apparently. I don't know. It's really weird that, I guess it's the whole, if I can be a YouTube star, then money will fall from heaven. I'm not sure. Or maybe I'll be the coolest kid at school. I don't know. I just read where some poor guy in China fell off a building. He was a daredevil and died. And I was like, well, it's all fun and games until you fall off a building, I guess. So
is there anything growing up that you wish you would have had on YouTube that you thought was one of the craziest things that you've done?
Probably in high school, I had a situation where I was playing a talent show and the principal cut off my band mid-song.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I wish I had that. I have that on audio, but I don't have it on video.
Why did he cut it off? What happened?
He tried to rearrange the schedule of the performances. And I actually went out. I saw him start to pull the curtain, and I went over and stood in front of the curtain so he would have to pull it over me. And he had a bunch of, his teacher's pet kind of guys to come on and do this other song. And it's like, wait, we've already timed this out. You can't change the, schedule. I had to run out to the front of the stage and sing a backup vocal. And I turned around and there was nothing but curtain behind me. It was fun.
Okay. I just didn't know if maybe it was a Red Hot Chili Pepper sock issue where they had to shut you down.
No, we did have issues. We did the song, Ain't Talking About Love by Van Halen. And there was a part in that song where David Lee Roth says, if you want it, you got to plead for it, baby. And my singer decided to hold the microphone in a certain area. Yeah, that did not go over well, but nobody got expelled. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah,
that's a great story.
Yeah,
I saw something. It's from it's over in the UK. It was a British YouTuber. He had to call the fire department to free him because he cemented his head inside of a microwave. At first, when I read this, I thought it was a bad idea. He put a plastic bag over his head.
Yeah, that usually is, the story is not going to end well with step 1, put a bag over your head.
Especially when step 2 is surround it with concrete.
What was step 3?
Well, he put it in a microwave.
Yeah,
but
geez.
Part of step 1 was to connect a hose that went into the bag that fed through so he would be able to get air.
Okay.
And at a certain point, he wasn't able to breathe very well. And as you can imagine, it would be hard to be able to move the plastic from your mouth if you can't reach it.
Right.
After quite a while of struggling with this, he ended up calling the fire department.
Because here's my question. How do you call the fire department when your head is covered with a bag and cement? I almost want to call shenanigans on this story.
I think we can just say, thank God for Alexa. I'm not sure that's what's going on. Well, we finally found a good use for Alexa.
There you go.
One of the firefighters' quote was, he was seriously unimpressed with the prank.
That's funny.
I just can't imagine what he thought he was going to get out of that other than just a lot of trouble.
That's the whole question, I guess. What was supposed to happen? Was he supposed to put it in a microwave, turn on the microwave, and it would somehow make the cement crumble and he could get out of it? Or
that is a good question. It doesn't have a end game for this kid. I would really like to know. Maybe we'll have to get a hold of that guy.
That's one of those where you're like, what were you thinking? You know, that's always what the parent wants to scream when they find out about this stuff. But really, we want to know, what were you thinking? Like, where were you going with that?
Apparently, it took 6 fire department members, and it took them over an hour to get him out of there, which is incredible. It's just a microwave, but you also have to take into account there's a human head inside.
Yeah. You can't just take a chisel and start going to town.
Yeah.
That's, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting to see that news story. That is for sure.
No, that's one of those where you're just like, again, you wake up today and go, you know what I'm going to do? Put my head in a paper bag, get myself a hose, wrap my head in concrete and stick it in a microwave. You're like, what?
I'm glad you brought that up, though. I do wish that they would have said how this kid thought he was ever going to get out of this on his own without anybody helping him.
Yeah. Unless the idea was to slip out of the plastic bag, but I don't know. It's weird.
It looks like if one of his friends were around, they would have just tried to do what the fire department did. So I don't think anybody was with him at the time. This is one of those stories where you read it and you have more questions when you're done reading it than you did going in.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher all the way around.
Well, Dave, I want to thank you for all the knowledge you've given me over the years and for coming on the show today. Is there anything you want to promote before we go?
No, Jason, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to come on other people's podcasts. And yeah, you can just find me at schoolofpodcasting.com if you want to start a podcast. That's what I do. I help people plan, launch, and grow their podcasts. So I'd be happy to help anybody.
And I got to say, I think I've done it twice. So here's the third time. Third time's a charm. I've used Dave. He's given me a lot of advice over the years. I listen to his podcast. You can also find that out there. It's under School of Podcasting as well. Make sure you check that out. You can learn a lot. So give him a shot. And you're also on the Podcasters Roundtable, which is a very good show.
That's Ray Ortega from Podcasters Studio, Daniel J. Lewis from the Audacity to Podcast, and then myself from the School of Podcasting. A lot of fun.
Yeah. So if you already have a podcast and you're not looking to start one, there's still a lot you can learn from the guys, so make sure you check them out. I'm going to play a song by ChooChooStu's band, the Yulebillies, called Crazy for Christmas, which was recorded in aid of Cancer Research UK. When the song is over, I'll be joined by ChooChooStu.
It's Christmas time to party with your friends. Like it's for all and cards to send. As the bells begin to ring, everybody sing. We're crazy for Christmas again. Santa's at the ring, gifts galore. Rudolph's getting tipsy and still wants more. The elves are in full swing. Everybody sing. We're crazy for Christmas again. Now seasons come and go. It's Christmas home alone. It's Christmas, let's all have a bop. It's time to have a swing. Come on, do your thing. We're crazy for Christmas again. When the music starts pumping, features can't keep still. Underneath that mistletoe, I get such a thrill. It's time to make a wish, grab a cheeky kiss. We're crazy for Christmas again.
Want to contact the show? Send an email to jason@wedon'thavecookies.com or call 929-266-9342 and leave a voicemail.
With me right now is the man you just heard singing Crazy for Christmas, my friend ChooChooStu. Stu, how you doing, man?
I'm not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I did have big dreams and aspirations for that song at the time of recording. Illusions of Grandeur, I think they call it. May have got someone's toe tapping. You never know.
I liked it. I thought it was good. And I'm glad you said that because it just reminded me that there was a video that accompanies that song. And I'll have that up on the website at wedon'thavecookies.com. You can check that out. It was a good video.
It was. I actually grabbed a local amateur video society or video club and asked them if they would take me on as a project, which they did. And I think it's a nice little video. It's all right. For an amateur, it's not too bad, is it?
No, I thought it was done really well. And I know a lot of people are wondering, Jason, why is Stu on the Guests of Cookies Past? He's been on very recently. Well, the reason is on November 2nd, Stu was thrown off the show by Dan Severn. You can listen to the martial law Dan the Beast Severn versus ChooChooStu episode if you missed it. Then I tried to have Stu on for Thanksgiving, but Dan ran in and kicked him off. So we really didn't get to talk for more than 10 to 15 seconds. I think it was the shortest appearance of any guest in history.
I'm sure it is.
Stu, I said that you can't be on the show anymore.
All right, Dan. I hung up on him. Well, Stu isn't the only one having problems right now. Here's a song by the Arrogant Worms called Santa Got Arrested. And when I come back, I'll be joined by comedian Dave Prague.
Won't be any presents this Christmas. No goodies in your stocking. The milk and cookies that the children left out will be left untouched beside the sink. The reindeer will be staying in their pens this year. The elves haven't built anything, 'cause Santa got arrested last Christmas Day. Police got calls on 911 about a red-suited man who weighed a ton. There was a clear trail of evidence pointing north. It was the 7th time this happened on December 24th. The Mounties reached the North Pole. They found it was outside the jurisdiction. They called up Interpol, the Finnish police, to facilitate the suspect's extradition. They knocked on the door of a well-marked shop with the warrant for the owner's apprehension. Then Santa got arrested Christmas Day. Santa was charged with B&E. His counsel advised he plead guilty. There was footage of the crime running on TV and photographs of little children sitting on his knee. The judge expressed concern about the risk of recidivism. His sentence was commuted. He got a bond and non-association with the elves, and his reindeer license was suspended. He says he's giving up all of his former life, and now he wants to be a dental assistant. 'Cause Santa got arrested. Santa got arrested. Santa got arrested last Christmas Day.
My last guest for the episode has been on the podcast 8 times. He even had his own segment, but he hasn't been on the podcast since last October. Thankfully, he's here just in time for these special Christmas episodes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Dave Prague. Dave, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. How about you, Jason?
I'm doing great, man. Are you you getting into the holiday spirit? Are you ready for Christmas?
No, because to be honest, I just bought a house and we're moving in later this week. So Christmas is a thing that I know is coming, but I haven't even begun to think about what I'm going to do about it.
I was expecting you to yell at me because you're Jewish.
Well.
For listeners who don't know, he has moved away. He went to Massachusetts earlier this year. How's the state treating you? Do you like it up there?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm originally from this area, so it's nice to be near my family again. But other than that, the state is fine.
Are you still doing stand-up?
I haven't really done it since I moved. I did 2 shows the last night. I did stand up in Ohio, and I did really good on both of them. And I was like, let's just leave on a high note.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. That is a good way to go out.
Yeah, I haven't ruled it out. I entered an ad for like an absurdist magazine online that's literally just starting. So I've been writing for them to sort of get my comedy fix out.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing that I know longtime listeners want me to ask, how is your sketch comedy album doing? Is that coming out soon?
No. We recorded most of it, and we had like pickups left to do, or we had to get like, we didn't quite get this line, can you re-say it kind of things. I was doing something one day, preparing to leave, and the guy calls me, he goes, hey, I got a free afternoon, you want to come up? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it right now. So it's like a 2-hour drive to this guy's studio, which is a microphone in his kitchen. So I show up, and his wife goes, oh, he got tired of waiting, he went to the strip club.
Oh, my God.
So I guess he thought I was just going to go to the strip club and get him, but I didn't know that. So I was like, oh, I'll just wait for him to show up again. So I sat there with his wife, like watching his kid for 3 hours. And then I was like, well, I'm going to go home now.
Yeah.
So after I wasted like 8 hours of my life driving back and forth and sitting around, I was like, if he wants me, he can come to me from now on.
So that was the final chapter in the sketch comedy album, huh?
I still have some demos. I won't say it won't come out because we have some of it done. We might eventually cobble it together. But at this time, I'm not really speaking to the guy who's putting it out.
I can't say I blame you. But I had to ask because I think we've talked about that 6 to 7 of the 8 times you've been on the show, if not all 8.
It distinctly might. I think it comes up almost every time.
Well, one thing that hasn't come up on the podcast lately is a segment that we used to do every single week, and last month we only did it once. It's this week's Perumpa-Dum Dumbass of the Year. It's a New Jersey woman who was pulled over for having a street sign sticking out of the sunroof of her car. Apparently she had no idea till they pulled her over, and probably because she was drunk.
I imagine. You know, when you don't see the street sign that is following you as some sort of weird warning of your life, like stop, stop, stop. Actually, that sounds more like a flashing red light, but whatever. I did not think this improv joke through.
The police officer said there was glass all over the inside of her car, and where the metal pole for the sign was really, really close to her head, and it could have ended a lot worse than it did.
I remember once when I worked as a valet, a woman drove her car up to the front of the building, and the passenger side window was just smashed, and the glass was still in the seat, which meant it was recently. And I'm sitting going, I'm pretty sure this woman stole this car. Fuck it, I'm making minimum wage. What do I care?
Not my problem.
It's not in the driver's seat.
Well, Dave, I want to thank you for being on, and I want to thank you for being such a part of the podcast the last few years. I hope you have a Merry Christmas.
And a happy Hanukkah to you. We have other holidays. Ours is older. We were first. Nobody remembers that.
And by the way, when this comes out, it still will be Hanukkah. So if you're listening, I do want to tell everybody happy Hanukkah too. All right, Dave, do you got anything you want to plug before we go?
I'm currently a contributor at Recyclus, which is at Recyclus, RECYCUL.US.
Dave,
Perfect.
Once again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's really good to catch up with you and have you back, man.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show and leave a review. See you next time.
You know the story is not going to end well with step 1, put a bag over your head.